Aliens are biorobots, bizarre encounter with robotic alien entities, and according to claims, in recent years the theory that UFOs and aliens might not be living creatures at all, but rather machines or probes dispatched across the vastness of space has gained traction. To back up this theory, there are significant numbers of alien encounters which state that aliens are some sort of robotic entity rather than biological creatures. In an incident that occurred in 1973 in the state of Alabama, United States, in the vicinity of the small community of Falkville, an alarmed woman called the police on October 17, 1973, reporting that she had seen a UFO land in the field outside of town. An unconvinced officer named Jeff Greenhaw went to investigate, likely assuming he was dealing with some nutcase, and after reaching the scene around 10 p.m., he initially found nothing. The lady kept insisting that even an alien had been running there in the woods, even though Greenshaw found nothing. Now later, Greenshaw investigated the whole area as he thought there could be a possibility of an intruder, but to his surprise, the intruder was stranger than what he expected. When he flashed his torch into the darkness, he found a humanoid standing with an antenna on its head and covered with a shiny substance similar to tin foil. He then took a picture of that humanoid. It looked like his head and neck were kind of made together. He was real bright, something like rubbing mercury on nickel, but just as smooth as glass. Different angles give different lighting. I don't believe it was aluminum foil, Jeff Greenshaw said. The humanoid moved in a robotic manner, and when Greenshaw turned on his car headlights to get a better view of it, it ran at a great speed which humans could not achieve. It eventually disappeared into the trees after Greenshaw chased it with his car. Later, when he told his account to the authorities and the public, he was mocked and made to lose his job. Another incident in 1965, KEYL radio broadcaster James Towsley of Long Prairie, Minnesota, reported on a strange story. He reported an account which dates October 23, 1965, while driving along a remote stretch of Highway 27 at approximately 7 p.m. When he came around a bend, he spotted a rocket ship, quote-unquote, placed in the center of the road, roughly 30 feet tall, 10 feet in diameter, and sitting on a set of fins. He said they were standing in a big circle of light under the ship. I jumped out of my car and was going to knock one over, but then they came at me. They came right up to the car. There were 3 of them. They had no eyes or anything, just those tripod legs and the matchstick arms. They were like tin cans, the size of a beer can. I was going to grab one, but then I figured that if they could stop my car and put out my lights, they could do something awful to me. So we just stood there looking at each other, and then they turned around and scooted back under the ship. The light was so bright I didn't see where they went. Then there was a high-pitched humming sound, and the ship took off straight up. It went up around a quarter of a mile, stopped for a moment, and then disappeared. Then the lights on the bottom went out. After it was up in the air, my car radio lights came back on, and my engine started without having to touch the starter. I drove 90 miles an hour back to Long Prairie to report what I saw, but I wondered if people would believe me. I was sure of 2 things. The rocket, it towered above the trees along the road, was a spaceship of some kind, and the 3 objects that came out of it were creatures like nothing else in the animal world I've ever seen. They definitely were not people as I know them, James Towsley said. Police responded to the claim by investigating the location, where they discovered strips of an unidentified oil-like substance strewn across the road, but nothing else. What exactly were these things, and do we even know if they even existed in the first place? A strange case similar to the above occurred in Pasco County, Florida in 1924. The case was revealed by the witness 50 years later, hence in 1974. According to the witness, Evelyn Wint, when she was a girl, she spotted an egg-shaped object on in the grounds of St. Joseph's School while she was playing there. The object glowed so intensely that she had to cover her eyes, but that when the light dimmed, she made out that it was a UFO, completely made out of metal. And suddenly, as she was standing there staring at the object, the gate opened and an enigmatic procession came out of it, which was different from what she expected. Little people emerged, she said. I think they were robots. I tried to count them, but they changed about so. They were smaller than I was and resembled animated flowers with faces where the bud would be. Now, the flower-like entities appeared like some sort of sinister robots. She was able to determine that they were robotic weapons that were assembling and aiming at the school's science building. The entities established a telepathic connection with her and told her that they were going to destroy the building as dangerous experiments were going on there, which could be dangerous. But later, as they changed their mind and started getting back in the UFO, they asked her to travel with them in the aircraft, but she refused. Upon being refused, they told her that they would come back in the future for her. And Evelyn Wendt said, they promised to come back for me in 35 years, but that was a long time ago, and nothing happened that I know of. All I can remember now is that the saucer was leaden-looking and very pot-marked. Then, when it started up, its molecules expanded and it turned very silvery bright. The UFO then went straight up, hovered a minute, and disappeared from sight. Later, Wendt was put under regressive hypnosis by the ufologist, but they were unable to hypnotize her. Also, mysteriously, the science building of the school was destroyed, which made people think that robotic flowers must be behind this incident. No further explanation was found for the case, but it doesn't deny the fact that there must be robotic entities that cause damage to that building. There are plenty of cases reported all around the world. In July 1975, near Logan, Ohio, an anonymous witness spotted a massive metallic UFO landing in the field of a rural area, resting upon its 3 cylindrical cones, and a robotic alien entity come out of it. It seemed as if it was surveying the surrounding area, and on top of the entity a bright light flashed. It was standing there like a soldier guarding a building. The witness frantically ran out of the scene, but later that night, while he was walking his dog, he heard a loud humming noise, and when he turned back, he saw a hovering soft ball-sized sphere that was just a few feet away from his face. After that, it shot away at a very high speed, and he lost consciousness. A very weird incident occurred June 27, 1997 in Helena, Montana, USA. One night, Helena, Montana, it says here, Helena, Montana, I guess that's a woman's name, was in her bedroom when she realized that she was floating in midair and a robotic alien was standing near her. She tried to move, but her body did not respond to her commands. It was more surprising to her that her husband was still sleeping next to her on the bed during this whole incident. The alien also ejected some sort of tentacle onto her head, which established a telepathic command between her and the alien. She telepathically requested the alien to let her go, to which it responded, "Sleep, you will sleep." A very recent case occurred in July 2016 in Merseyside, England. A local resident, Stephen, was out walking his dog in the afternoon when his dog began to yelp and growl at a low hedge between the road and farmland. To his surprise, he spotted an alien entity that made the sound of thumping similar to industrial machinery while walking around. It was around 8 feet tall and had a bucket-shaped head and a grayish body that was similar to an armor suit. As the alien approached them, Stephen's dog ran off, and Stephen ran off after the dog. When he looked back, there was a UFO along with the alien. The UFO looked like 2 deep bowls with their open rims stuck together on the ground. Then Stephen was distracted by finding his dog, but after a few moments, when he again looked back, he realized that both the UFO and the alien had gone. There are a plethora of such cases, and these cases make us believe that these alien entities are some sort of robotic alien rather than biological creatures. On the other hand, there are people who just think that these are merely hoaxes. The power and technologies these aliens possess also indicate that they are a robotic alien, as biological creatures have chemical and metabolic limits, but these aliens possess great natural powers. On the other hand, there are people who just think that these are merely hoaxes. What do you think? Please leave your comments. These are by Kastuba Chudowry on Infinite Explorers. Thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.